When Serenity Matthews didn't get off the school bus Monday afternoon, her grandma knew something was wrong. The second grader says she was told by her teacher to walk home, even though she insisted that's not something she normally does.
I tried, but nobody was listening to me. And my teacher said go. And then I was trying to find my way home and the bus wasn't there. I was trying to find the bus and I couldn't find it.
Serenity was eventually found by her family here near the intersections of Palmyra and Risher Roads. It's about a mile and a half away from the school, an area that her aunt says is too busy and dangerous for any young child to be walking alone.
That's not a good area. There has been multiple crimes over there. They're not great people walk over there. Your heart drops.
The district claims staff and the school resource officer were also searching for the girl. Superintendent Steve Shiro says he's now investigating after an individual in the school office mistakenly called the wrong child with instructions to walk home.
There may be another child that's not that lucky to have family that is even home at that point to be able to go out and look for them, and they may not return.
McCoy believes the school needs to make changes so that this doesn't happen again. With more local news, I'm Lindsay McCoy. Cheers and excitement making the first sales of medical marijuana at CY Plus dispensary. More than 100 patients, some with long drives, lined up with doctor-approved state-issued IDs to buy it.
For somebody like me who doesn't want to deal with liver damage or opiates anymore, this was a huge step in the right direction.
I just wanted to be a part of the first day, of history, right,
Some of the patients I spoke with say they have to leave Ohio to get their medical marijuana supply every 2 months. But with more dispensaries like this one opening up across the state, access will only get easier.
Got to drive all the way to Michigan. So with the dispensaries finally opening up in Ohio, it'll be available to the patients.
Jason Rowe tells me he sees other people traveling to Michigan from out of state all the time. CY Plus is working with 3 growers in Ohio to bring those patients here.
Today we have about 30 different strains of flower products available that patients can take to help with their pain.
CY Plus joins 3 other dispensaries opening up in Canton, Wickliffe, and Sandusky. Patients have to be suffering from one of the almost 24 qualifying conditions, some now driving somewhere a little closer to home to ease their pain. With more local news, I'm Lindsay McCoy.
For me to be up and close and personal to it scared the heck out of me.
Waking up to the sound of gunfire, the Trumbull Homes neighborhood is now under tighter surveillance after 44-year-old Dondell Warfield was shot in the street 3 times here on Feederly Drive Southeast, forcing Willard and JFK schools to go on lockdown the first day back to class.
It's kids out here. You doing stuff around kids and stuff like that. Anybody could have been shot. Kid could have been shot. Like, bullets don't got no name on it.
While Warfield should recover, the suspected shooter, 32-year-old Daniel Lewis Chips, remains on the loose, wanted on a charge of felonious assault. The community is now urged to speak up about unsolved cases. Mayor Doug Franklin announcing today the city will spend another $40,000 in police overtime.
We will do everything and anything necessary to remove these violent acts by these violent offenders and to get them off of our streets and to keep our city safe.
Families who woke up to the violence this morning tell me they are tired of living in fear.
The crime rate, the violence, it's pathetic. It's to the point where my daughters don't even come outside and play because it's always bullets, it's always fights. Pretty much every single day, it's something always going on out here.
More help could be on the way. The city's police chief says they're working with the Ohio State Highway Patrol, and ATF could be involved in one of its ongoing investigations.
Liquor and guns do not mix. It's a recipe for disaster.
Vienna trustees are armed and ready to voice concerns with state regulators. They say Candywood Whitetail Ranch is requesting to renew the former property owner's liquor license. After months of waiting for answers about safety and protocols raised at a Trumbull commissioners meeting in February, trustees say the answer should be no.
Because we haven't gotten answers to our questions, we don't feel that there's any guidelines for securing the guns while the hunters would go in and drink alcohol.
Privacy and a sense of security is why many people move to this area, but property owners who live nearby tell me the fear of the unknown has taken some of that away.
We have individuals parking out on the street for observation, and we don't know where they're coming from or whatever, and the combination of the liquor and the guns and and it's just not a good thing.
Another property owner says she'll definitely fight the potential for serving alcohol with an attorney. A hearing date with the Ohio Liquor Control Commission is expected to be set up within the coming weeks. 21 News reached out to Candy Wood's reps for comment and did not hear back. With more local news, I'm Lindsay McCoy.
Being original, say no to peer pressure.
In the 1980s and 90s, staying away from drugs was easy. All you had to do was just say no. And while many of the ads are memorable, researchers say they didn't work. And in some cases, scare tactics to keep kids away from crack cocaine and heroin may have caused an adverse effect.
This is your brain on drugs.
This is what happens to your brain after snorting heroin.
This year, meetings with students in Trumbull County are putting an emphasis on how every choice can impact their path to success.
Trying to scare students, that's not what we're about. We feel that everyone knows that drugs are bad. We feel that they already know they should say no to drugs, but this is by no means a softer approach.
Tags Villanueva is preaching leadership and achieving goals and how all of it can easily end with using drugs.
We're talking about being successful, how to be leaders out there, and how to make healthy decisions. And if you make healthy decisions, how to commit to those decisions.
Addiction experts here in the Valley support this shift away from scare tactics. A study by the National Institutes of Health on the effects of those anti-drug youth campaigns looked at kids ages 9 to 18 from 1999 to 2004, and they found that the ads and slogans made little to no impact.
Many of those drug ads were targeted to say, don't try drugs or else you'll die, or else, a very bad consequence would happen. So all it really took was somebody trying a drug once to negate that. They said, look, I did it. It was fun. I had no side effects. So maybe these ads are less credible and therefore a whole lot less effective.
Sloan says parents are the primary influence in a young person's decision on whether they'll try drugs. She suggests leading by example by not using and by locking up the medicine cabinet at home to signal that joining the opioid epidemic is a deadly decision that could end any dreams of reaching success.
Thank you.
I've just always felt that you build your ground game. You build a foundation, first floor, second floor, and then at some point you get the house done. And I think we're getting close to finishing our house here.
With 75 town halls and counting, Kasich says he plans to meet with voters until they cast their ballots on February 9th. It's been his strategy from the start. He's logged the most hours and the most stops in the state.
Let's give a warm welcome from the great swing state of Ohio, Governor John Kasich.
Kasich's latest newspaper endorsement comes from the Boston Globe, and journalists documenting his every move say they're not surprised by the support.
The voters here, especially the ones that will vote in the Republican primary, they can be independents, they can be Democrats. Kasich's more of a moderate, centrist Republican. Some Republicans would consider him liberal on some of the issues. So, he's people who are open-minded respond to his message.
And we will fix those problems.
His clear path for a stronger U.S. economy starts with a balanced budget. It's a message he won't deviate from, even as his opponents move in to heat up their campaigns.
There's no question that we're rising. The question is what happens here, because now a bunch of people are beating me up and all that, which is fine. It's part of the business. And if we hold on, I think we're going to do extremely well here.
If you don't make it third and up, what would take it for you to drop out?
Well, we're going to sit down, our whole team, on the 10th of February, and we'll make an assessment as to how we think we would do. Because I don't want to string this along if there's no chance of winning. I mean, I like my job I have as governor.
We are next president, John Kasich.
He has volunteers on the ground for the next round of primaries in South Carolina and Nevada if he does go on. One thing keeping him going, the support from the Buckeye State.
I just hope that people will continue to put their confidence in and to root for me. It makes me feel good to know I have support at home.
Well, Derek, from where they sit here inside the queue to their intentions to unify, Ohio delegates are taking heat from others who are annoyed that they're just not jumping on the Trump bandwagon. Most are still supportive of their home state governor, who refuses to back Trump, and their loyalty and behind-the-scenes politics is not sitting well with others.
The Ohio delegation has been on the receiving end of some comments, I suppose you might say.
But listen, that's understandable. This is politics.
Usually home state delegates get a prominent view of the main stage, but this year it's the cheap seats. Team Trump states are instead front and center. Even Guam has a better view. Ohio 13th Congressional District Delegate Tracy Winbush feels like Ohio is in timeout.
Because we're not supposed to be sitting in the corner. We're supposed to be front and center. We're important. We're Ohio.
Ohio Delegate favorite Kasich continues to garner headlines for not attending the RNC. Trump's campaign advisor calling out the defunct Kasich campaign as an embarrassment for Ohio. Out-of-state delegates are calling for unity.
I wish he would come in. You know, he carries a lot of sway. I think people respect him. A lot of people. I know a lot of people in California have a great deal of respect for him. So we need his help.
Well, it was his unconventional approach that really opened the ears of so many new voters in America. In Trumbull County alone, the GOP doubled its number of registered voters in the county. And tonight, the delegates just want more of the American people to hear how Trump will make America great again.
People really need to hear about the message that he has about making this economy better, a better trade agreements, immigration.
Stanley says he talked with a number of delegates from Texas who are now backing Trump since Cruz refused to endorse the nominee. Delegates from Pennsylvania say it won't matter if Cruz or Kasich don't push voters to support Trump. What is he doing to motivate the voters so much so that it doesn't matter what the state leaders say?
Donald Trump is speaking directly to the American people. He's bypassing the political class, and he's speaking directly and frankly and honestly about the problems that confront our country.
All right, so we are now just hours away until Trump takes the stage. So the million-dollar question is, will Kasich walk in the door? Even if he just sits down, he's got a few hours to do it, so there's still some time left. Of course, his motivations and Cruz's motivations for being in Cleveland this week are still under question, and it's speculation that just won't go away. Reporting in Cleveland with more local news, I'm Lindsay McCoy. Back to you.